Good evening, good morning. Welcome to week 4 of PSSL 6251 Interagency Cooperation at George Washington University. Just some quick announcements. The forums, again, we're getting a little better, but as I've noticed or I've noted on some of your discussion 2 forums, please incorporate the fact that you watched the YouTube video, lecture, reading. Please, when I say, some of you, I told you, hey, don't give me your opinions. I want your analysis, not your opinions. I don't want an editorial. I want your analysis based on what you see in the readings, what you see in the lectures, what you might see in an outside source. So don't just, again, spat out an editorial. I want some grounding in your posts. I'll give the group assignments for week 8, for the week 8 simulation. I'll give that out this week, as I said last week. And then week 7, I don't have the exact date, but it'll be the Thursday. We'll have the Adobe voluntarily Adobe Connect session. So please bring in your, please email me ahead of time so I know your questions, your issues. We're trying to work with the federal government, trying to work with the intelligence community, trying to work with the contractor, your personal experiences. So I want to kind of have that forum on in week 7. So last week, I think we talked about the problems of Interpol. We also talked about the problems of trying to expand some sort of Interpol or Europol system in the North America. And I think most of you hit on the problem is between the United States and Mexico, that a Interpol system is easy when you have all the, I don't want to say like-minded, but similar-minded nations of Western Europe with same levels of corruption, or same lack of corruption, same government, same cultural viewpoints. I'm not sure that would work in North or Central America, and the evidence is what we're seeing on the border in the last couple of weeks. With that being said, Mexico, I think some of you correctly identified that Mexico has been doing intelligence sharing and information sharing that has been very successful, but it's not to the level where you have an Interpol system where you have commonalities among police forces. The one thing I'd also say is that I don't think the U.S., because we're very, best way to put it is we value our sovereignty above all else, and I'm not sure we would be willing to give up a little bit of our sovereignty to have a Interpol system between us and Canada and Mexico. And I don't think we would be, we certainly, one thing Interpol has is kind of they check the trafficking of weapons and guns. And as much as, I like guns and I like the Second Amendment, I don't think the U.S. would surrender that right to have guns, or at least have a gun registry that's open internationally. So that's another kind of downfall there. But I think everyone pretty much hit on the major reasons. We should have it, but we don't have, again, different justice systems, different police attitudes, different levels of corruption, particularly between the United States and Mexico, which prevents a Europol or Interpol system in North America. I want to deviate a little bit on the next topic. I just want to talk about current events, and I would like you to bring this up in this week 4, because it's very relevant to what's going on. Obviously, most of you have seen what's going on the border with the United States and Mexico, and the backups that are occurring due to people coming from Honduras and Guatemala and coming across the border. Not really smuggling themselves, but they're surrendering themselves to Border Patrol to be brought into the system. There's a lot of, well, first, this is very relevant to what you're doing. It's very ironic we have this unit at this time, and it's also very relevant to the interagency cooperation. But I want to get your opinions on this, and I want to, I've read a lot about this, but I want to see what you guys also have maybe read and seen and shared. So for this week, particularly when we talk about the Mexico smuggling discussion point, bring up the border issues and your thoughts and your recommendations on how to deal with our current border crisis, if you want to call it a crisis. just a couple of things I hear. We've talked about uh, turning them back. Turning back kids. And we've done that previously. We've done that in Haiti, or Haitian refugees, Cuban refugees. We've turned back kids. Many of you might be old enough to remember Elian Gonzalez deporting him to Cuba way back in the day, 1999. So we've done it before, but that might strike against a humanitarian thought. That these are mostly kids, mostly moms bringing their kids over, that it is a drug criminal enterprises that are killing a lot of people in Honduras, Guatemala, and these are in some cases refugees, just like there's refugees from the Iraq War, from Syria. These people are refugees from at least some sort of conflict, and we should accept them. I'll let you decide, but whether that's good or not. But the question is, does our system incentivize this? Partially yes, partially no. And when I say partially yes, is that the Honduras and Guatemala, the United States is always going to be better than Honduras and Guatemala. So they're going to there's always going to be a magnet to come to the United States, regardless of what our immigration laws are. And you'll hear it politically on both sides of the spectrum. You'll say, on the right will say, we need to secure the border and we need National Guard and troops, and that they need to, it's Obama's fault. I've heard that. On the left, they'll say we need immigration reform, we need more of a humanitarian look. Neither side is 100% right. I don't think the National Guard is going to solve this problem, and I don't think that there's a humanitarian, or there is a humanitarian impetus, but I think you can take that too far. So those are kind of my thoughts on the border situation. I would love to hear what you guys have to say, and please bring that up in your discussion points, and please send articles that you might see that are very relevant to this. And it's okay to get a little political on this. That's okay. Let's just make sure we're not getting a little too passionate. Let's let our passions, check them at the doorstep, and let's be kind of look at this situation as you would as if you work for the government, or you work for the Border Patrol or Homeland Security. So that being said, short YouTube, if there's any questions or issues, please let me know. And you guys have your papers marked, so make sure if there's any issues with that, please let me know. But other than that, look forward to your points on the discussion board.